Parlementaire de vos normes et standards sur la législation, les règlements, les normes et standards de l'Union européenne, pour que, progressivement, vos entreprises et nos entreprises puissent opérer dans nos marchés respectifs sans plus rencontrer d'obstacles, et progressivement pour intégrer l'économie arménienne dans le marché unique de l'Union européenne.
Je vais donner tout de suite la parole au Dr Tannock, qui est le rapporteur du Parlement européen sur la politique de voisinage précisément, et je vais vous demander d'éteindre vos portables pour une parfaite écoute.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the European Parliament. My name is Charles Tannock, and for those of you who don't know who I am, I speak on foreign affairs for my national party of British Conservatives as well as for the EPP-ED group. But my views today are a personal reflection on what I consider to be some of the issues, as well as my official views through the European Neighbourhood Policy report, which is going before plenary in the next couple of months. I am a friend of Armenians, and I'm one of the United Kingdom parliamentary friends of Armenia, and have been for some time. And I made my name, I think, to a certain extent with the diaspora, which many of you represent today, because I was the author in the Parliament a couple of years ago on the issue of the catch cars in Nakhichevan, and this Parliament condemned the way that those ancient cemeteries and monuments were destroyed by Azerbaijani authorities, and refused, of course, a visit by this Parliament to inspect the damage. I also wrote an article on the 90th anniversary of the genocide and have spoken in London at the Cenotaph. So I feel I know your community well and your tragic history. But I'm here really to talk about the ENP. Mr. Mingarelli has given you an outline on the trade and commercial and political aspects. The ENP was designed as a way of establishing a ring of friends in the neighbouring countries of the European Union. It was felt that new dividing lines to compartmentalise external frontiers were not appropriate, and a strategy was developed culminating in the 2003 communication on wider Europe, which eventually this Parliament endorsed in my report, my previous report of 2006. Interestingly enough, this is one area where the European Parliament flexed its muscles in foreign policy, because it was the Parliament that actually requested for the three South Caucasus states, Armenia, Georgia and Azerbaijan, to be included in the NP, and the European Council of Ministers agreed to that policy. It's one area where we can be proud that we actually moved the agenda as a EU institution. It includes, of course, the southern dimension, which subsumes most of the 1995 Euromed Barcelona process countries, which include the Arab bloc of North Africa and Israel, and then 5 countries which I am now specialising in this current report, the eastern dimension, namely Ukraine, Moldova, and the 3 South Caucasus republics, which of course includes Armenia. Belarus, because it's not a democratic country, although technically covered by the ENP because it gets ENPI funding, which is European Neighbourhood and Partnership Instrument monies, is not participating fully because of the current lack of democracy and human rights in that country. And the PCA, which is the formal instrument which we have between the EU and former Soviet countries, which is a partnership and cooperation agreement, was frozen in its ratification since 1997. Russia, curiously, still gets ENPI money. It's not in the ENP because Russia, of course, considers itself as a strategic partner and is above being fully within the ENP in its view, but it still gets money from the European Union taxpayer, even though it's a $1 trillion economy, and that itself will be debated in the coming years. Just to give you some idea of the figures involved, the EU budget has agreed to an increase in assistance to approximately 12 billion euros for the period of 2007 to 2030. We're talking about substantial sums of money as compared to the previous figure of 8.5 billion euros for 2000 to 2006 under the respective predecessor programs of TASIS and MEP and MEDA, which no longer exist. The ENP is supposed to be totally distinct from the issue of eventual membership of the European Union. Some would argue that it was designed as a policy to stop countries such as Ukraine and Moldova, which my report explicitly recognises as being clearly identifiable European countries with a right to eventual EU membership under Article 49 of the treaties, that this was designed to stop these countries pursuing their ambitions any further. It hasn't succeeded in that because these countries are still calling for eventual EU membership. But nevertheless, this is the current architecture, including with those countries like Ukraine, which many of us believe should be eventually one day in the European Union. One of the sad things about the EMP is it includes a number of so-called open and frozen conflicts. To the south, we have the issue of the Western Sahara, between Morocco and Algeria. And to the east, of course, we have Moldova, we have the Transnistria issue, which is a real problem now that Romania is a full member, so it's right on our borders. We have, of course, in Georgia, the issue of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, and Armenia, the unresolved dispute over Nagorno-Karabakh. The main instruments in the application of the EMP are the so-called action plans, and Mr. Mingarelli has discussed in fair detail the contents of the action plan, which is now in force between the EU and Armenia. This doesn't, of course, as it were, dissolve the formal treaty relationship between Armenia and the European Union through the Partnership and Cooperation Agreement. Although I personally will be suggesting in my report that the PCA structure is becoming redundant as the whole post-Soviet space is changing, and that all these treaties should be changed.
Je vais inviter maintenant Madame Ria Oomen-Ruijten, qui est également députée européen et qui est précisément le rapporteur sur la Turquie de cette année, la nouvelle rapporteure sur la Turquie, puisque jusqu'à présent